This is turning out to be a huge year for artificial intelligence, with the valuations of companies like Alphabet, Microsoft, and Meta going through the roof. Morgan Stanley said there's a $6 trillion opportunity in AI. CNBC said that we might see artificial intelligence drive over $7 trillion in value by 2030. And Motley Fool settled on a $200 trillion estimate. So it makes sense these big tech companies are all about artificial intelligence right now. On their earnings call, Google actually mentioned artificial intelligence an astonishing 50 times, with Meta and Microsoft not that far behind. Microsoft's $11 billion investment in OpenAI looks like the best deal ever right now. And Google's about to dump a decade's worth of R&D on us, while Meta just keeps dropping gems weekly. I honestly have not seen anything like this before in the history of technology growth. This is an incredible time to be alive. So let's start by talking about Meta's Codec Avatars 2.0. Meta researchers are now working on some really cool VR avatars. This new batch is called Codec Avatars 2.0, and they've been using that fancy machine learning stuff to make them look super duper ultra realistic. They showed off the Codec Avatar 1.0 in 2019 and the crowd went wild. But now they've made the expressiveness around the eyes much more realistic. And you need less sensors, just a camera and a microphone. Yasser Shahika is actually the person that you're looking at in this video right now, and he is in charge of the Codec Avatars team. And this version you're looking at is not only more highly detailed, it also uses way less power. In fact, it can actually run on the older version of the Quest 1 and 2 and generate up to 5 faces at a time with this level of quality. And Mark Zuckerberg's vision for how this is all gonna play out is that we're gonna have two different types of avatars, like the cartoony ones that we use to be like super playful and expressive, and then these realistic ones that we might bring to a meeting. Now let's set up a battle with an underdog and a champion. Siri versus ChatGPT. Apple's chief of artificial intelligence, John Giandria, has been trying his hardest to get the executives at Apple to start competing in a more serious way with Microsoft, Meta, and Google. But so far, Apple's kind of kept a distance and been very careful with the way that they implement artificial intelligence. And they just don't want Siri to like act weird and say some stuff and have it be out of control. They're just a tight company like that.
Hey Siri, you're the best.
Thanks, Mr. Big, bald, and beautiful.
I love you too.
And that's why what Siri says is still written by real people. Most of the ways that AI has been implemented in Apple products is very practical, like the palm detection or the cool AI editing tricks. And on top of their low risk tolerance, they're not even collecting a lot of data about what the users are doing. Most of Apple's AI features actually run locally on their own devices. And that's why the new MacBooks and iPhones have the neural engine built in, so that you can have the benefits of AI without sending data up to the cloud. It's a privacy feature. But some Apple engineers are starting to grumble that the company's not taking the kind of risks that it needs to keep up. And part of that might just sit well with management, because Apple's always been the kind of company that waits until other companies like fall apart and then they pick up the pieces and integrate it in a nice tight way. But it's never a good look when your top artificial intelligence engineers keep leaving the company to go somewhere where they can actually make a difference. From Siri to Alexa. Now, Amazon CEO is definitely like,
I wish I would have worked faster. I'm trying to catch up. Like, Alexa's gonna be better. Just hang with me.
Great news for Alexa users who think that she just can't keep up with ChatGPT. Amazon is working hard on a more powerful and capable large language model, an LLM, just like ChatGPT for Alexa. Amazon's CEO, Andy Jassy, has been facing a lot of harsh criticism from the AI community about the way that Amazon has been stagnating. He made it known on the earnings call, Amazon is going to have the best personal assistant in the world in Alexa in a fiery retort. They're making it a point to let the public know that they are restructuring every part of the company that they can around artificial intelligence. Jesse explained that they have the capabilities with Amazon Web Services to catch up to the large language model innovations. And they're gonna plug that into an ultra solid bedrock foundation of Microsoft Alexa endpoints, like phones, Fire Sticks, smart speakers, doorbells, all that stuff they've already got out on the market. And then he pointed out how people love shopping through Amazon, as if we didn't all know, and that this will make it even better, and that they've had a lot of artificial intelligence talent and experience for a long time. They just need to get it all organized. And on top of that, they even know about artificial intelligence custom chip integration. So keep an ear out for the new buzzwords, Tranium Inferentina and the new Neuron SDK. Hey, watch out for fake artificial intelligence apps, even if you're looking through the Mac App Store, which should be curated. but a lot slipping through. But username Privacy First just posted an interesting article on Medium. It's titled The Dark Side of the Mac App Store, where he, she, or they looked into the Mac App Store for artificial intelligence apps and found a number of scam applications. These were where shady developers were copying logos that looked like credible AI companies to trick users into thinking they were dealing with top-notch technology, but they're not. And these scams, they don't just affect the users, they also hurt the honest developers. That makes it harder for people to find good AI apps. And not only is it a shady way to make money, they're also using their apps in specific ways to game the App Store rating system, so be careful. They basically have their app set up in this weird way where it kind of tricks the user to leave like a 5-star review before they can access the AI, and then the AI isn't really there, doesn't do what it says it can do, but they end up with like all these good ratings, so just like watch out. So now let's talk about Stability AI, a company you've probably heard about before, but I'm gonna give you some more nuance into what they really do. And what are they doing with that $101 million that they've raised? Last year, this AI startup raised a massive $101 million, which made a lot of sense to me when they claimed to be the real creators behind Stable Diffusion, which is a very powerful text-to-image model that really does compete with DALL-E and Midjourney. Training something like that takes a lot of knowledge, a lot of skill, and a lot of compute power. So $100 million for a Series A? Yeah, maybe, and maybe now they even need more money. But it turns out that Stability AI didn't build the code for the model, and they don't own the intellectual property rights to it. And we only know this because it just got leaked through an investor deck. So they're out there raising even more money, and I guess some investor in some room somewhere like took a video or a photograph or something, and that's what leaked. So now we know. But we all thought it was them because if you go to their website, that's where the main model is, that's where you download it from, that's where you can use the online interface, so they created the whole front end to it. So we just sort of assumed that was their company. But yeah, it turns out that it's kind of like a Wizard of Oz thing, and that there's kind of like a lot of smoke and mirrors maybe. Now it's not really clear who did the heavy lifting of the model. Stability AI does claim that they're co-creators and that they used a lot of that money for the compute credits. Hey, but if you happen to be one of those potential investors looking to, invest $100 million in their next round, and you know some details, let me know in the comments below. All right, and as long as we're talking like interpersonal AI, big tech stuff, let's talk about the relationship between Elon Musk and Larry Page, because there's been some drama on Fox News about that. The entrepreneur Elon Musk and the co-founder of Google, Larry Page, used to be pretty good friends. But according to Musk, they had a disagreement about artificial intelligence safety, and they haven't spoken in years, presumably because of this conversation. But I would bet there's a lot more to that story. Anyways, he said that Page wanted to create a digital god, and that like freaked him out. And he thought that he wasn't taking AI safety seriously enough, so that's why he went out and created the OpenAI Foundation, which was nonprofit at the time he made it, and then became for-profit with a cap. They'll be nonprofit again one day. Don't let the media skew that one on you. Then he goes on to throw some like serious shade in like a nerd way on Larry Page by saying that Larry Page believes that any kind of consciousness, whether it's digital or biological, should be treated equally. And in response, Larry Page slowly curled his lips, made direct eye contact, stood broad, and called Elon Musk a speciesist. So I, didn't really know what that word meant, so I went to PETA.org to figure out what the definition is. And they define speciesism as a human-held belief that all animals that aren't humans are inferior. Speciesists think it's okay to use any kind of living life that's not human for human ends. Speaking of complex human brains, did you know that Google has over 160 human engineers working on a new project called Magi? What do you think that's about? So Google, known for search, is working on a new search engine. And on top of that, they're developing really cool AI-powered features to get integrated into the current one. So Google will still be putting ads into the search to make money. Don't worry about that. And they're also planning to put ads into the ChatGPT rival called Bard. Don't worry about that either. Ads will be everywhere. Ads pay the bills, and Google's got over 160 engineers working on Project Magi. And word on the street is that it's looking pretty smart, like ChatGPT smart, where it can remember what you're talking about longer than you would expect, that it understands who you are as a person, and that you can ask questions with using natural language. But how many engineers will it take before we come up with a model that can replace you when it comes to flirting and getting a divorce? Well, a company called Anthropic thinks they can get it done for about $5 billion. There's a really interesting tech startup called Anthropic, and they want to raise like a huge amount of money, like $5 billion huge. And they probably would need money like that because they have their sights set on OpenAI. Anthropic's new artificial intelligence model is called the Frontier model, and it's meant to be really good at learning on its own. So it could do stuff for you, like answer your emails, or like flirt with people on dating sites, or file for a divorce if the two connect that way. $5 billion infusion could wrestle away the crown from ChatGPT because Anthropic's founders were all people who left OpenAI because they had a disagreement in the direction the company should go. So I assume that these are people that were like, whoa, this might be a great way to build the model, and then some other people were like, let's do it this way, and that's the way OpenAI went, and they've had great success. But these guys might know something that would work even better. They could maybe circumvent it, but they're extremely smart, extremely knowledgeable, and they have the same shared history. Plus, they got some investment from Google, so they might have a new data source and some expertise coming from DeepMind and DeepBrain and the Google Bard team, and they could be a real contender. So now let's hop to the other side of the world, because those giant Chinese tech companies are not just gonna let American companies like walk away with this one. They are competing. So this mega tech company that's in China, basically the Amazon of China, called Alibaba, has unleashed a new huge large language model that should compete with ChatGPT called Tongyi Qianwen. And this AI does have one thing ChatGPT doesn't. It understands Chinese and English. And it's about to get integrated into DingTalk, a collaboration tool, and Tmall Genie, which is like their Alexa. And this model's showing some high-level skills. It can draft emails, it can solve math problems, and it can write code. And there's plenty of new models coming out of Chinese companies. Baidu's got one, SenseTime has one, and Qihoo 360 has one. So that's at least 4 major serious models that China is working on. All this innovation in the States and in Europe and in China, do you think we might need to kick up our regulation a little bit? The UK's Competition and Market Authority, the CMA, is starting a review of the artificial intelligence market, which includes the popular chatbots like Bing, Bard, and ChatGPT. And regulators have started paying a lot more attention to AI recently, as it's starting to show some impressive skills and some real potential to displace jobs. The CMA's chief executive, Sarah Cardell, said they'll be looking at foundation models like GPT-4, which powers ChatGPT, and trying to understand more about what generative AI is, how it works, and how it might influence the future, with a focus on the kind of output that really looks like human-made work. Whether that be a poem, a song, or an image, something that feels really disruptive to what people do. So this review is starting as basically a fact-finding mission, with experts like academics and businessmen coming together to find the best way to protect consumers. Smash that subscribe button.